I've just requested that the Governor General dissolve Parliament and call an election for April 28th.
For the first time since the pandemic, we're finally getting a Canadian election, and it's been announced for April 28th. What does that mean? We're going to take a look at some Mark Carney stuff, and we're also going to take a look at some Pierre Poilievre stuff, who is the Conservative leader, because those two are definitely going to be the main candidates going into this election. And before we jump into today's video, I want to let you guys know that about 90% of you guys are not yet subscribed. So if you do find yourself coming back to the channel and watching content, please hit that subscribe button. And with that being said, let's take a look at this article here by Global News. Canada election party leaders enter first full day on the campaign trail. Leader Mark Carney will try to inject some Canadian symbolism and pride to his election campaign Monday with a stop in Gander, Newfoundland. Singh will deliver a campaign announcement in Montreal first before traveling to Toronto for the evening, while Poilievre intends to spend the full day in the GTA, which has so many seats it can make or break a party in a close election. And this is probably going to be a close election based on all of the polls that we've seen so far. I mean, it's crazy how much Mark Carney has actually climbed, and it's crazy to see how much Pierre Poilievre has declined. Some people say it's because he never really endorsed Trump, because I think there is a lot of conservative voters who are also really in favor of Donald Trump, and unfortunately that has led to a bit of a decline. But I don't know, it's possible he could still win this election. In fact, I think he's more likely to win this, but I could be completely wrong. I think Canada might feel like they need a change. 10 years under a Liberal Prime Minister, usually things get shaken up, people get bored of a certain party after a while and they switch to the Conservatives, whatever the other closest massive party is. But I don't think NDP has a chance, unfortunately.
There's so much more to do to secure Canada, to invest in Canada, to build Canada, to unite Canada. That's why I'm asking for a strong, positive mandate from my fellow Canadians. I've just requested that the Governor General dissolve Parliament and call an election for April 28th.
So that was the breaking news where he actually did call the election. It was up to him to call it. And I will say, compared to Justin Trudeau, he's a better speaker. There's a lot less uhs and ums in his speech. So I do think he's a little more suave. He could definitely win the election, to be honest. But here is the Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre.
And with change, there's hope. So I say, to the struggling single mother who worries how she will feed her kids, hope is on the way. To the 35-year-old, still living in mom's basement but dreaming of owning his own place and starting a family, change is on the way. To the seniors choosing between eating and heating. And to all those who wonder what happened to the country that they knew and love, change and hope are both on the way. A new Conservative government will restore Canada's promise. The promise that anyone from anywhere can do anything, that hard work gets you a great life in a beautiful home, on a safe street under a proud flag. To preserve that flag and uphold its promise, we must work together, fight together, and win together for our people, for our land, for our home, for Canada first, for a change.
I will say, Pierre Poilievre, he does like his slogans. They did have a slogan, Axe the Tax, which is based on the carbon tax, which is like a new tax that was kind of just created very recently. So the fact that his whole campaign was based on one thing that was so recent had a lot of people say, well, all that Mark Carney had to do is just scrap the carbon tax, and then most of his platform kind of disappeared. So he did shift a little bit recently for political strategy. I don't know if it's going to really lead to him winning, but you never know. Honestly, I think Canada's in for a change, and he might be the right leader for a change, or it could be Mark Carney. Mark Carney is also running a lot of political campaigns and ads. He had one recently that got a lot of heat with Mike Myers, and we'll talk about it. We'll watch it, and then we'll talk about why it got a lot of heat after.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Mr. Prime Minister, Mike Myers, what are you doing here? I just thought I'd come up and check on things.
You live in the States.
Yeah, but I'll always be Canadian.
But you live in the States.
Yeah, so?
Do you remember Mr. Dressup?
The children's show on CBC?
What were the names of Mr. Dressup's two puppet friends?
Casey and Finnegan?
Bud the
Spud?
Howie?
Meeker?
Capital Saskatchewan.
Regina?
Tragically.
Hip?
You're a defenseman defending a 2-on-1. What do you do?
Take away the pass, obviously.
What are the 2 seasons in Toronto?
Winter and construction.
Wow. You really are Canadian.
Yeah. But let me ask you, Mr. Prime Minister, will there always be a Canada?
There will always be a Canada.
All right, elbows up.
Elbows up.
The reason why people are saying that this campaign was pretty bad is because these are two individuals that spend the majority of their life outside of Canada, and then they're lecturing people in Canada about being Canadian. And at the end of the day, they never really resolved the fact that he lives in America. It's like, oh, but you live in the States. It's like, well, can you name some people from Mr. Dress Up? Yeah, well, good enough for me. Kind of rubs people the wrong way when you really think of it like that. But regardless, there was another clip that surfaced recently of Mike Myers bragging about being American.
I love Washington, D.C. I mean, oh my God.
Fascinating.
It's a great
I'm an American citizen now, gratefully so. I gave him a speech about what a great country this is and what a privilege it is to be in this country. Some pretty strong ideals that my British parents, growing up in Canada, and my now American citizenship stand for. I don't take it lightly at all. It's a very, very important thing to me.
So he's been taking some heat because he's bragging about being American. He's very proud to now be American. So the fact that this was someone that Mark Carney used in a political ad might have not been the best strategy. I think there's other Canadians he could have used that might have sent a better message to the people who are potentially going to vote for you. But regardless, that was what he went with, and it got a lot of backlash. Let me know in the comment section if you think the backlash was deserved. Let me know also in the comment section who you plan on voting for. And actually, based on age, it could really affect whether or not you're going to be voting liberal or conservative. Sometimes it does feel like it's a bit of a working class versus old elites. And Mario here demonstrates this.
This chart is a perfect representation of the upcoming election. It's going to be the working class, people like me and you, against the old rich elites. These are the folks, keep in mind, that benefited off the fact that they were able to buy a home while being a middle class citizen in Canada. They were able to purchase that home and likely live in it mortgage free. They have a tremendous amount of wealth. They are now retired. They benefit off of new programs. That is why the Liberal Party caters to the older citizens, because this is the larger voting demographics in Canada, despite us being at the bottom of a pyramid scheme. We are the ones that are funding these programs. We are the ones that are going to be stuck with a massive tax burden in the future because they were able to benefit off of a lot of the programs, and now we have to come in and pay for it. Now that they're retired and they have this wealth, do you think they're going to change their mind? Have you tried even speaking to a 70-year-old just purely on facts and getting them to change their mind? They're going to vote who they've always voted for, regardless of all the crime. The fact that Toronto is now more dangerous than Detroit and New York, the uncontrolled immigration that we have, the fact that the Liberals want 100 million people living in Canada by 2100, which means almost 1 million people coming into the country every single year, driving up the prices of housing, which only benefits them because they're the ones that are living in that asset class mortgage free.
Do you think there's some truth there to that? I don't think that that's 100% true. I think it's definitely based a little bit on age demographics, but I also think location is another thing as well. But it is true that the older you are, the more likely you are going to have assets. And if you are mortgage free, you are living pretty comfortably, right? Mortgages and rent usually takes up the majority of people's income after their paychecks. So the fact that you don't have any expenses apart from property taxes and groceries and stuff like that, you do have a lot to spend, especially if you were someone who owned a lot of assets and you may even have multiple rental units, right? It does feel like the biggest gap between the old and the young in Canada is the asset class, and that asset being housing. Let me know your thoughts about this video down below in the comment section. Also, let me know what your thoughts are on this election. Do you think the Conservatives are going to win? Do you think the Liberals are going to win? Or do you think the NDP are just going to come out of nowhere and take this election, which I don't think is going to be the case. Regardless, let me know your thoughts down below, and I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.